program today is Yov Shimoni. His grandmother was the lady, elderly lady, executed by Hamas. That was his sister. You saw weeping on that clip. Thank you, Yoav. First of all, I am very sorry for your loss, and we are really grateful that you're still taking the time at a moment like this to talk to us. I want you to talk about how you, your sister, your family actually found out what happened. Where was your grandmother? When was the last time you spoke to her?
So that was actually my cousin, and when she mentioned in her interview that my mom or her aunt, my mom, called their family, it was right after my sister commented on our family WhatsApp group, after everyone checked for each other's safety, including my mom, my aunt, and my grandmother. Everyone were ensuring their safety, that we're in the shelters, that because at that time all we knew is that there was bombings. And then even though after my grandma was very more concerned about my mom's and my siblings and my aunts and my cousin's safety, not 10 minutes later, my sister flagged a like said on our family group chat that she saw a video on her Facebook. And then at that point, we all turned to Facebook and were scarred forever.
I can only begin to imagine how deep that scar is. What did you see in that Facebook video?
So at first, I didn't really want to believe what I saw, but it was my grandmother lying on her living room floor, covered in blood, in a pool of blood, with men with guns standing above her yelling. And she has her arm clenched. She's obviously in tremendous amount of pain. I just cannot imagine what she's gone through. And not only her, but everyone else in her community. I know her story is horrible, but everyone in her community, there's about 300 families there. Each and every one has a horrific story, just like that, if not worse, where the family was kidnapped, babies were taken or killed at point blank range. Elderly women, one of my grandma's best friend, after her husband tried to defend her in the shelter, he was shot down and then she was dragged out of the window and taken into Gaza, an 80-year-old lady. And that's kind of what I want to highlight as well, that all the victims of the kidnappings are, at least I have some closure right now, even though that closure came in the most horrific way. Those people need to see their family being taken, being dragged to the streets of Gaza on videos, only to assume what is happening to them right now.
Yeah, in some ways it's a strange thing to say, but to not know is worse, almost worse than knowing. But in the not knowing, there's still hope, and in the knowing, it's the end of hope. I was almost shivering when you were describing your grandmother lying in a pool of blood with men with guns of the terrorists of the Hamas all around her. How old was your grandmother?
She was 74, almost 75. We were supposed to celebrate her birthday in a month.
You're going to celebrate her 75th birthday in a month.
Yeah.
And did she? I'm so sorry. And did she live by herself?
She did. She was a single mother. She raised both my aunt and my mother alone. She was the strongest woman I knew. She was so brave, and she did not
And
deserve this.
yes, absolutely, she did not deserve this. And this was basically an ISIS style execution on camera. They
It
filmed the
was.
execution. Did they film the actual killing?
Thankfully, no. It was just a video of her dying after she's been shot.
How would you describe what you're feeling today? I mean, obviously, you're in a state of shock and grief, but there must be a large degree of rage and anger.
There is, and it's not just at the Hamas. It's also at us as a country in Israel for letting this happen, for having the failures and the arrogance of the security system to allow for this. But also, I feel frustrated and kind of emancipated because I'm not able to help in the ways that I want. My mother, who has obviously also gone through a massive tragedy, besides just her mother, she lost her community, the place where she grew up, but she still went down to a lot to like a few days ago to help with all the victims, to assist with food, shelter, medicine to everyone who survived those horrific attacks. All my friends back home are now in the reserves and are doing their part in protecting everyone.
You said you're of course raging at the Hamas, but you're also angry with systems in your country that failed. There is a lot of talk about the intelligence failure that enabled this, or maybe some reports suggest the Netanyahu administration not paying heed to the warnings. Who are you the angriest with today? After, of course, the killers.
So it's not a particular person. It echoes what happened in 73 in Israel before and during the Yom Kippur War. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily a blame of one person or one system. It's a failure of the whole system, and the whole security system in Israel that became arrogant, became too relaxed to allow for something this severe to happen.
Your grandmom, nothing and no one can bring your grandmom back. But what would you like to see happen next? There are families that are still in captivity, and I'm sure some of them you know. And I was interviewing a daughter yesterday who doesn't know if her parents are going to make it back, and she said, my father had many Palestinian friends. He would help those who were unwell. He would take them to hospital. It's not they who are an enemy. It's this Hamas, ISIS type terror groups that are our enemy. What would you like to see happen next?
First of all, I would like to see the kidnapped return as soon as possible. Right now, would be my biggest hope. But after that, yeah, after the kidnaps have been returned, I would just hope to have this end as soon as possible, but also eradicate Hamas completely. I think that these actions have shown what Israel has been echoing for the past 15 years, that it's not a political organization, it's not a resistant movement, it's a terror organization that, in its foundation, in its covenant, is working towards the massacre of the Jewish people. It literally says it in their seventh article.
Yeah.
So
What was your grandmother's name?
it was Bracha Levinson.
Praha Levinson. Can you tell us how you'd like to remember her and how you'd like the world to remember her?
I'd like the world to remember her by her love, by her caring for both the family but also her community. She was a pillar in the community, and I'm not sure if the audience knows much about kibbutzes, but it's a very much a community-based place. In its origin, it was based on communist values where everyone worked for one another, everyone raised each other's kids, and my grandmother loved her community. She loved her home. She loved the news as well. And this is partially why I'm doing this, because I do believe that she would want me to spread her story, as she was so passionate about news media as well.